Hey everybody, this is the last SCCA Cal Club event of 2019. So it's the October 2019 event. This is the end of the warm-up lap. That's Chuck Clendenin up in front of me, and I am behind him. I qualified second with a 147.3 lap. This is on Buttonwillow configuration 25 clockwise. The unfortunate part for me is that I decided not to get new tires for this event. So by the time this race started, my tires already had 8 heat cycles on them. So they're pretty much already done and ready for the scrap heap. But sadly, I ran them here in the race, and you'll see during the race that there are times when the tires are so far gone that it's tough for me to get the front end to turn in, just quite a bit of understeer. But really grateful that I got to run this event. The weather was absolutely perfect, temperatures in the 70s, and car ran great all weekend. Thanks to Bob Morris and Sabina Prep for getting the car ready and in great condition. Bob Morris is an amazing mechanic, and I haven't missed one session since he started taking care of the car. Not one session. Here's the green flag. Chuck's on my right. He got a better start than me. I figured I would just let him go. Chuck is quicker than me, so I thought I would just follow him around for a bit, see what I can learn. That's not to say I'm not pushing. I'm pushing as hard as I possibly can. For a few seconds there, you saw the lights, red lights blinking on my dash. Now they're blinking blue. So that means the car's too cold. It should heat up as the race goes along. The temp got down quite a bit. Anyway, it'll come up. So I'm following Chuck here, just kind of getting the race started. Tires still getting hot and up to temperature in terms of pressure. But you can see that my closing speed on him is pretty good, and I get by him there on lap number 1. And as you'll see during this 30 minutes or so of video, that we exchange places a number of times. You'll even see me at times point him by and the places where he was quicker. My tire grip in the front was so poor through turns like Riverside, the high-speed sweeper, that I couldn't go through there flat, and Chuck could, so he made up a lot of ground on me there. You can see even here where I can't get down to the apex on the inside, just tires just not, I would have to come up off the throttle so much and slow so much I didn't want to give up the momentum, so I just went a bit wider through that off-ramp section so that I could keep my momentum here through the S's and into Sunset here, the final turn. Chuck's behind me now, but probably not for long. Chuck is a super talented race car driver and has taught me a lot about race car driving since we met a year or 2 years probably ago now. Buttonwillow, a great track. Track's owned by Cal Club. They do a great job at maintaining the track. I really enjoy driving here. See in the mirror there that Chuck is right behind me. And when I say right behind me, I mean right behind me. Sadly, coming up, I'll spin. And when I spin, it allows Chuck to get a bit of a lead. But then I eventually caught back up, and we had some pretty good racing towards the end of the race. This is probably a good time for me to give some thank yous. Like I said, Bob Morris from Sabina, who preps the car and does just an amazing job. And like I said, in the 2 years that I've been driving this car, I have not missed one session of racing. So Bob is to thank for that. Jack Crone did a really amazing job of wrenching the car this weekend. Bob and Robert Merritt, my teammate, were at Thunder Hill, so they weren't with me. So Jack Crone, who's a really great person and very talented mechanic in his own right, helped me take care of the car through the weekend. And then I also want to thank his daughter, Courtney Crone. Courtney, a very, very accomplished race car driver in her own right, although she's only 18 years old, but has done a tremendous amount of racing since she was 2 years old, believe it or not. And Courtney coached me through the weekend, and I picked up about 5 seconds from the first session Saturday. I didn't run the practice on Friday, so from Saturday morning's practice until qualifying Sunday morning, I picked up 5 seconds in my time, which I feel pretty good about. Again, my best time was like a 1:47.3. There's probably 2 seconds. Could probably wrench that down by about 2 seconds if I had new tires on the car. So, if I was in the low 145s at this point in my development, probably not bad. This is only my second year of racing. Maybe my, I don't know, 18th or 19th or 20th event. So not that many, but I've learned a lot, and I absolutely love driving this Pro Formula Mazda. It's a beautiful car to drive. So big thanks to Bob, like I said, and Jack Crone and Courtney Crone. Also, big thanks to my beautiful wife, Dominique, who came out to support me, and my father-in-law, Dino Dioguardi, who's an ex-race car driver and a really great person. And he's as happy as anybody when I succeed at racing, and I was really happy that he was there for this victory. Also to my son Jensen, who always does the editing of my videos and is always the most enthusiastic and saying, "Dad, how did you do this weekend?" and patting me on the back. So I appreciate both of my kids, Jaden and Jensen, and my older son Jake, who always are so supportive of the racing and allow me to practice my passion. So anyway, here we are. We should still see Chuck in my rear view, though I would expect him to pass me relatively soon. Yeah, he's right behind me, as you can see there in the side view mirror. He is literally all over me. There were times when I looked in my side view mirror where I couldn't see any part of Chuck's car up to his helmet. I mean, I felt like I could feel his breath on my neck. The guy was so close to me. And like I said, he's a much more experienced driver than me, and you can see he's looking, as you can see there. He's looking to get by me. He just moved to my inside, and he's just kind of looking for his way by. And like I said earlier, I couldn't maintain full throttle there through Riverside, so he was able to really get, as you can see there, very, very close to me. This is a good braking zone for me. I brake very, very late there. I don't get all the way down to the apex, but that's mostly because the tires were so thrashed. Also because Chuck was breathing down my neck so heavily, I felt like if the later I broke there going into that off-ramp section, that hopefully he wouldn't pass me there, which is a prime passing zone on the track. There he goes. He passed me on the inside and sunset. So now I follow him for a while. He's driving a Formula Enterprise 2, an FE2. And Chuck's got that thing real dialed in. He's, again, very, very talented race car driver, knows a lot about the car and how to set it up. He goes a little wider there than I do. And of course, there's a million ways to skin a cat, so I don't know what exactly is the best line through there, but I learn a lot following him. He and I take somewhat of a different line through here as well. I like kind of the center of this entry, and he likes a little bit more on the left side of the corner for that entry. And then going into Riverside, he likes to stay really high on the track. I tried that as well, but I also like the middle section, so I kind of go back and forth from the high line to the mid section. There's a bit of a camber here at the apex here, And so if you can get your car down low, you can kind of pick up some mechanical grip going through there. This is Phil Hill, up and over. Kind of feel how the weight gets light in the car as you go over cresting that hill. And then, like I said, this is a real heavy braking zone, and you can see that I can make up some distance on Chuck in this braking zone, although obviously I'm not close enough to pass him. So here we go through Grapevine, down the back straightaway, getting past Chuck, heading towards Riverside. Again, my tires are really in bad shape. So very hard to get down to that apex right there, which we should get all the way down to at full throttle, but just no way to get to full throttle there. Then up and over Phil Hill. Car gets real light at the crest, come back down through the apex, and then down the second part of the drag strip to into the Star Mazda turn here. I spin, as you can see, trying to keep Chuck behind me unsuccessfully. Car stalls, so I need to start again. However, I see a competitor coming up behind me, and I don't want to get in his way. So I move to the right and let the sports racer go by, knowing that I think I have enough speed in the car, even with the tires pretty well burned up, that I can catch him and maybe even Chuck again. So as we continue here, I'll let the native audio feed in, but actually maybe I'll take you through a lap here. Okay, so this is the front straightaway heading towards Sunrise, which would be a left-hander. So down to fourth gear through Sunrise and around. Let the car track out all the way to the right, almost to the rumble strips. Turn in there at the flag stand. Down 2 gears and off ramp, down to second, back on the power. Trying to track out all the way to the left here. And then up I-5 towards Cotton Corners. This goes from fourth gear to third gear through here, right, left, and then right through Grapevine here, and then onto the back stretch. It's a bit of a dog leg right up here, right here, little dog leg left, which sets up for Riverside. Should be flat in 6th gear. Probably 130 to 135 miles an hour coming into Riverside. Like I said, I couldn't hold flat because my tires were pretty much burned up. Then we head up here towards Phil Hill, 6th gear down to 4th gear, crest the top of the hill, car gets light, come down on the other end. This is the second half of the drag strip as we head towards the Star Mazda turn. It's a very, very heavy brake zone right here, going from 6th gear down to 2nd gear. As you can see, I can see the sports racer coming up. Then we enter the S's. This is probably my favorite part of this configuration. It's flat, so you're going from 2nd gear up to 6th gear at the end of these S's. And I feel like I'm really tracking the sports racer, and I can get by him. And so I move here to the left to get by him in Sunset back onto the front straightaway. I can still see Chuck up ahead, and I'm looking to re-engage with Chuck so we can again begin our battle. And it was, like I said, back and forth all day. So here is me trying to track down Chuck. So let's listen to the native audio a little bit. You can see because Chuck can keep his power down all the way through Riverside that he can pull away from me a bit here. But I do some good work catching him both here in Phil Hill and at the end of the drag strip before the Star Mazda turn. I break very, very late here, probably too late. If I broke a little earlier, which I probably should, then I could probably, even with the tires worn, get all the way down. I didn't do a bad job that time, but I want to get all the way down to the apex there. But Chuck and I are dueling it out. I'm picking up some ground here through the S's. And into Sunset here. Getting closer. He got a nice launch there and pulls away a bit. Got a little loose under braking, allowed me to get a little bit closer to him. And then I'm able to pull a little bit up in the braking zone before Cotton Corner's coming up here, right here. I feel like I may be able to make a run on him going through the back straightaway here, but he is doing a nice job of staying on the power early and getting a nice launch down the back straightaway. I'm keeping pace with him here, although I'm going to need to lift to make it through Riverside, and he's not. I just can't get the car all the way down to that apex with these tires. A lot of understeer running through there. And of course, it's kind of a courage moment because, like I said, it's about 135 miles an hour going into Riverside. So you've really got to commit to that turn. If you lift, then the car will wash out on exit and you're potentially going to run off track. So you really got to commit to keeping the full throttle, and with tires that are as worn out as these, it's very tough to hold, to get the grip to hold the car down to the inside of the track, which is where you need to be in order to get through it flat and track out without moving the car off track. Feels like I'm gaining some here, and I feel like maybe I'll take a run in Sunset, but I don't. But I'm staying close and make my move here down the front straightaway. And as you can see by looking in that side view mirror there, Chuck is not letting me get away. He is right on my tail. The engine temp continues to be somewhat of an issue as you see the blue lights on my dash. And again, that means that the temp is somewhere between probably 200 and 210 at this point. Should be between 180 and 200 ideally. Now you can still see Chuck right there in my rear view, my side view mirror. He's all over me. can't get that car down to that apex. Still front end grip right now. Again, I kind of take a middle line there going into that final Cotton Corners right-hander. Some people enter that corner from the far left. I prefer to go in through the middle of the track. So we're coming up on slower traffic here, so just trying to time the pass. He moves over a bit to the right, but leaves me plenty of room to get by him. And then Chuck gets by him as well. You can see Chuck got a much better run there than me, and he is all over the back of my car. Thinking that he is definitely going to try to pass me somewhere. You can see him all over the back there, moving back and forth, letting me know he's there. But I know you're there, Chuck. I can see you. It's all I can see. So you can see, I just see how good of a run Chuck gets on me, and I say, why hold him up? Let him go by if he's faster, which was really feeling the tires degrading at this point in the race, and I just didn't want to hold him up here at the Riverside. You can see he gets his car all the way down to the apex there, full throttle, no problem. And I can't get mine down there. Chuck put on new tires on Saturday, and I, like I said, was running old tires, so it's just tough to get the grip down through some of these high-speed corners. But I can see that I'm making up ground under braking in that section there, and I do a pretty decent job of getting them to the apex there at the exit of Star Mazda. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I have an opportunity to pass them under heavy braking somewhere on the track. Just have to look for the right opportunity. Getting closer here at sunset. Like you can see, Chuck enters much wider than me in the off-ramp. Did a better job there of getting down to the apex in Star Mazda. On it through the S's, and I do feel like I'm catching him a bit here as we get to Sunrise, and I can kind of feel how close we are, and I'm thinking, I've got a shot. And you can see his car moving around a bit more. So maybe he's having some handling problems too, I don't know. I waved there because I think we just got the white flag. So I know this is the last lap. I know I don't have too many more opportunities to pass him. I know there's a couple of areas where I'm braking very deep, and I think maybe I can get him. And one of them is coming up into Cotton Corners, although he got a great jump out of the off-ramp section there. So I'm gaining a little bit, but still maybe one car length or so behind him. So I really need to power out of Cotton Corners here so I can make up some ground. So I feel pretty good about being just a couple car lengths behind him here. And I'm leaning on it, and I feel like this is my opportunity. Maybe not right here through Riverside, because again, I can't keep the power down, but maybe up through, catch him a little bit more in Phil Hill, and then make my move going down into Star Mazda, and that's what I'm thinking. Last lap, push as hard as you can. Who cares? These tires are going in the garbage anyway. We've got a nice run there off Phil Hill, and I'm making up some ground. And I'm catching him. And I say, I'm just going to go for it down the inside, and we'll just see what happens. And that's what I did. And I think, you know, he was probably very kind. I'm not sure I was totally alongside of him at the turn-in point, but I think he saw me there, and he knew how late I was braking. So he let me by. And I'm feeling pretty good right now, thinking, checkered flag is just up ahead, and I'm going to win this race. And I got a lapper here, the back marker that I'm trying to catch, and I just don't want him to come in between Chuck and I as we get to the checkered flag. But there's a checkered flag, and got the victory at the SCCA Cal Club final event of 2019. Feel real good about that. So again, a super big thanks to Bob Morris, Jack Crone, Courtney Crone, my father-in-law Dino, my wife Dominique, and my kids Jaden, Jensen, and Jake. We'll see you next season.